And we are live.
Hey everyone.
Hey
Uh,
everyone.
I just remembered I didn't get my drink for this R&R show.
Martha, I was thinking the same thing, but I've had enough drinks for the weekend, so I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
I have my sugar-free Kool-Aid. So there you go. Um,
Welcome everyone.
Happy Tuesday, which seems like a Monday, but it's a Tuesday, so that's good. We are here to talk about recruiting and retention. And I'm going first tonight. And my name's Martha Woodward. For those of you who don't know me, I am the co founder of Quality Driven Software. And my main mission is to help people build happier workplaces. And before I get started, Dom, because who knows when I'll stop, you go right ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, and my name's Dom. For those that don't know me, I'm the founder of Hire Who. We are a software that helps people get their hiring system 1 point. So we help small businesses, the medium-sized businesses, transform their hiring process. So that's what we do. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about recruiting and sharing a new way that we're trying in one of my service companies. So go ahead, Martha. You're gonna share with us about some employee newsletters, right?
Right, right. And so this morning when I was on Fight Club, they were talking about newsletters to clients, and it reminded me that yes, when, like I was telling Dom, when I was really on top of my game, I did a newsletter for clients, a monthly newsletter. And honestly, it's a little like journaling to your clients. It's kind of weird. But there was a notes from the owner section, blah blah blah. And then I also took it a step further and did an employee newsletter monthly. And that seems kind of weird because, we just had a little over 20 employees at the time. And so that's not like it's so huge that you don't get to talk to your employees. But the funny thing is, you'd be surprised how many things you forget to remind people of or bring up. So, in the employee newsletter, I just like the client newsletter, I kept a format, and there was a part that was a notes from the owner from me. And so that was kind of my little rah section, and to be able to get a little bit of personal stuff about me. Um, so and maybe it's different because I was an absentee owner, but I also feel um, like I'm saying, those old Christmas letters that people would send out. It felt a little bit like that, but it's just a little section. So I might be talking about gardening and, we just planted this or that. And we're talking a paragraph.
Mhm.
But then I'm also saying things like, I'm so proud of you guys. We were working on this last month, and, we made these changes, blah, blah, blah. So that's the notes from the owner section. And then because we're primarily women, I always had a little section that is just a social section. So maybe it's, back to school lunch ideas, or maybe it's, holiday costume ideas or for Halloween or something, or maybe it's a recipe or something. So that was one little section. And then I had the next upcoming holiday. So I just did this in QDS. I just forgot to tell, our VA from the Philippines that, oh yeah, Monday is Memorial Day, you're off. So I had to message her on Friday going, surprise, you're off. But our employees, they don't always remember which holidays we celebrate. So I always had upcoming holidays, upcoming next social event. So we would lock out the day, and then, just try to start drumming up excitement and talking about our summer party or our holiday party, etc. Sharing some of the survey comments and brags,
Love
that
that.
kind of thing. So anyway, and I was just talking to Dom, when we did the client newsletter, that newsletter was sent to our current clients, but also all leads, all past clients. And I never sent our employee newsletter to anyone but current employees. But if I were to do it now, I would absolutely send them, and ours was called Diva News because we were dusting divas. I would absolutely send them a copy of it. I would just make it written to where anybody could read it,
Like you would send that to your previous clients as well.
I would send that to our previous applicants.
Oh, wow. Oh, Martha, I love that. So
Mhm.
kind of keeping them, one of the things that I talk about is, when there's people that exit your company, there are a lot of those people that may be even interested in coming back, but it's an awkward conversation to have, like, hey, Martha, I messed up leaving your company. I should have never did that. I want to come back. Right. So
Right.
if you eliminate those barriers and those things, you make it easier to open up that conversation. Martha, I've got a couple follow-up questions for this employee newsletter. So when you did this, was it always just doing it electronically, or did you ever do any print?
It was always electronic. I'm trying to remember for the clients, I know it was electronic. For the employees, I'm trying to remember if I did print it.
Mhm.
I probably did, to be quite honest, because back in that day, there weren't as many smartphones and so forth. So it's not like it's not like a lot of my employees had email.
Okay.
So I bet you I did print it, and it's been too long. But yeah, I think that it would be a great idea to have some copies laying around the office and then send them out. But I would absolutely capitalize on it being like a nurture, part of a nurture campaign to your past applicants, and worded in such a fact that you know like kind of a what's happening inside of blah 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 company.
Yep.
And then you have your newsletter, and then at the bottom, hey, interested in applying blah blah blah, and have a link. So
You
i,
did you did this monthly, right?
I did it monthly.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, a lot of people that are going to watch this, the business owners and the entrepreneurs, they're going to say, okay, how can I find the time? Because I'm thinking about it, like, I love this idea. I love this concept. But, what's going through my head is, who am I going to delegate this to start putting this employee newsletter together? And one of the things that I'm thinking is, if I had like if I created like a template, that we could use every
Absolutely.
month, and then kind of just delegate either certain sections to different key people in the company, and then just put some due dates on it. So then every month, every day the prior month, we kind of had that next newsletter already ready to just go ahead and shoot out. And then I was
Yeah.
the write off on it. Is that kind of what you would do? As because a lot of companies that we talk to, they do have that 30, 40, 50 employees. And I've seen even bigger ones, especially in, the cleaning
Yeah.
space that we talk to a lot. So,
Yeah. um yes. And if you're that big of a company too, just think about it. You could put in a link to a jot form to sign up for the company party, etc. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with it. But I always use a template, and I always, I felt like it was important for both sets of newsletters to keep it very uniform month after month.
yeah.
It was like it popped in their inbox, and it's like, oh, I know what this is. And um, so, and the thing about it was, once you get that template done, then everything is pretty plug and play, even if you were doing it yourself within an hour and of time investment. But there's so many sections I talked about that you could easily delegate to somebody in the office. And why not have, why not, like my field manager was very much in charge of employee retention.
Yep.
So they did a lot of, oh, and we always had a monthly contest. So we would talk about the monthly contest in that newsletter. But yeah, I could have absolutely assigned my field manager some things to do, and even coming up with like that recipe, or I just have to give her the idea
Yep.
and then have her go find it.
Gotcha.
And then same for my office manager. She could have put all of the survey comments and, stats and stuff like that in there.
So what I'm hearing is you can definitely do this, guys, even at a scalable way where you could delegate a lot of these things. So that's good for sure.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And then I had one other question. So when you were talking about the difference between like the employee one and the client one, so in the employee one, do you think the newsletter is a good place to kind of highlight things that are going on with certain employees? So like when one of our employees buys a house per se, right? Since that's
Oh,
a deal,
absolutely.
we obviously want to empower our staff. We want to talk about it. So do you think those are good, appropriate things as long
Yeah.
as it's okay with the employee to share?
And the funny thing is that, so I had an employee highlight section in my client facing newsletter. And
Okay.
the funny thing is that there's some sections, like kind of the notes from the owner and stuff, there's some sections that you can duplicate a lot of it. And so, um, you could have your employee highlight and have it in both of those newsletters. But we're just talking about employees. So, but yes, I mean, absolutely. And I should add, an employee newsletter is not the place to nag your employees.
Yeah.
So they will not want to look at that newsletter if it's, hey, you guys, we've had lots of floor complaints and you need to do this. It needs to be all the cool things
The
that are
fun,
happening.
the fun stuff. The fun
Yeah.
stuff. Okay. That's good, Martha. I love the concept. I'm going to talk about it with my team tomorrow on our morning call and see if it's something they can get behind. So
And I want to see you or somebody use it and design it in such a way that you can send as a nurture email every month to your applicants, to your leads. And anybody that made it through the system and wasn't a knockout. And
yep.
then I would love to see this go out to them. And it's, I just can't believe that you won't have, and who it would really attract are the great applicants, the ones that are like, oh, this is a really cool company. I
Yeah.
think I want to apply to this
Yeah.
company.
And Martha, I'm even thinking, because like now, and again, when you were probably doing this, again, you were printing stuff out and things like that. But I'm even thinking we could even have like a page on our website to where it shows you
Oh,
the most recent newsletter, but then
absolutely.
it shows you all of all of the past newsletters as well, because nothing gets me more excited when I walk into an interview and that applicant knows all these things about my company already.
Mhm.
That really gets me excited. So great
Right.
idea, great idea, great concept. Someone said, Martha, good idea. Don't know who that is, but it's spot on. It's a
Well, thank
wonderful
you,
thing. Yeah.
whoever. But yeah, I'm excited for people. It's stuff like that that I'm like, I kind of miss my service business, but
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you guys.
So okay, so that's our retention thing for the week, right? So let's talk a little bit about recruiting. So guys, there's been a lot of courses that we've been watching, webinars that we've been watching recently. And one of the things that we've been hearing a lot about is this employee referral stuff, right? And after some very thought through things and running the numbers and things like that, I ended up creating something very similar, and I wanted to share it with all of you guys. So our new referral system, our new referral program is going, and we haven't even launched this yet, actually, Martha. So this is going to be very fresh and new come the month of June. So,
okay, June.
yeah, we
I know you've been talking about it. So
yeah, we just signed off of it on it, I think Thursday of last week.
that's
So
fun. Be a great idea for your newsletter, Dom.
I know. So what we're going to do is, for any employee that refers an employee to work for our company, we're going to pay them $150 every single month. Okay, so Martha, if I'm already in the company and I refer you to join the company and you get hired, then me, the person that referred you, is going to get $150 every single month as long as we're both employed with the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of a recruiting tactic, but it's more retention, how I look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because this has got a lot of retention flavor in it. And here's the thing because we always talk about getting new hires and stuff like that. But if we truly fix our retention issue, then your recruiting issue gets a lot better.
Right.
Right? Because you don't need as many people. You're not funneling through that many people. So that's going to be our new flow. And I want to read some of the stipulations in this policy. So, I can give you guys a little bit of inspiration if you're wanting to build your own. So one of the things that has to happen, so one of the rules is both employees have to be employed with the company in order for it to qualify. Okay. So if Martha quits, I no longer get that 150. If I quit, obviously I no longer get that 150 per month either. We're doing no cap. So it's not capped at the time. Okay. So if they get 10 people, then they can get $1,500 a month from us. And here's the reality. If someone refers us 10 people, and obviously they're going to have to refer more than 10 to get 10 hires, right? Because we're not hiring every referral. But if they got 10 people that are working for our company and they're good, it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's worth paying that 15 because they're making a ton of money for the company.
Exactly.
My pitching goes down, my recruiting budget goes down. It's absolutely worth it. We are guaranteeing that any referral, we are going to guarantee at least one in-person interview. Okay. Yeah. So if I refer Martha, as long as that referral comes in there and it's a solid referral, we're going to guarantee that Martha gets an in-person interview no matter what, whether we don't think she's a good candidate or not.
Even if they don't meet your knockout requirements?
Even if they're not qualified, and not in that sense, because the flow is going to be a little bit different, Martha, for when they apply for as a referral. They'll have to put a little bit more information rather than the standard application that we have for any applicants.
Okay.
So some of those knockout questions, it won't take them through that normal flow that we do.
Okay.
So there won't be any automations in there that will say, hey, you're not qualified. Thanks, try again. Because the reason that is, and we may change that in the future, but for now, our thought is we have to get all of our team gung-ho behind this.
Yeah.
So we can't have any type of barriers built on, oh, well, I referred 3 people and no one got an interview. No, we got to interview them. Even if it's a 10-minute interview. Right? We got to put them on there. So so that's one of our things there that we're putting in there. As always, candidates are subject to meeting employment eligibility requirements. So that answers your question, Martha. They still have to pass a background check. We're still going to do a reference check. There's still all those company requirements. We're not bending our rules on what makes a great employee, because think about it, we're paying money for this employee.
Right.
We can't bend the rules on it, right?
Right.
So that's another one. Like I said, there's no current cap or limit. So for all of our bonuses of our company, and I think this is important for anyone trying to build bonuses for their company, we always put in there that payout is always based on the current status and profitability of the company, right? You never want to be in a position where, your company turns for the worse and you got all these bonuses and things like that. Obviously you want to pay out, and we always do, but we always put that little caveat in there that, hey, if the business changes and, the situation changes for our company, these policies may be adjusted and we may have to change these things as we go. So, and then the last thing too is we pay these in arrears. So I think that's the word, in arrears. So if it's the month of May, we would pay out the qualified people for the month of May. We pay them in the month of June.
Right.
So,
right.
So yeah. How we do that.
Now, how'd you come up with the amount?
So great question. So the way that we come up with the amount is you have to know your data on how much is a new hire worth to you. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's important. Okay. So if I'm doing the math, Martha, and let's just talk about the cleaning company, because that's who's watching, those cleaning business owners. Mm-hmm. And let's just take, just base numbers. Let's just take base numbers. If we're talking $175 in cleaning, okay, and you take that by 26 cleanings for the year, mm-hmm. that's $4,550. Okay?
Right.
So the question is, every time that you're turning down a job because you're not properly staffed, how many customers are you potentially losing? Mm-hmm. One customer is bringing me $4,500 in revenue, and if it's 30% profit margin, we're talking $1,365. Mm-hmm. And for one new hire, we're definitely giving them more than one customer.
Right.
So if you start to multiply that, it's easy.
Yeah.
One reoccurring customer that I'm turning away is worth $1,300 in my pocket. That's literally what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So why not pay $1,500? It's a little over $1,500, but why not pay $1,500 a year to retain two people?
Right. Yeah.
It makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And it's a newer, so, for you all listening, affiliate payouts have been around for a long time, but it's pretty new to the employee scene. And I would say I've just started hearing a lot about it in the last 6 months.
Yep.
And well, necessity dictates getting creative. Yep. And really, it really is the thought leaders that are coming up with, all right, we're going to take this marketing idea, which are affiliate links, mm-hmm. and pass it down to the employee level. So I think it's brilliant. And I've always found in my service business, I always found that I didn't need to pour near as much money towards client marketing, mm-hmm. as employee marketing.
Yep.
And, you can certainly, and especially if you have more clients than you can service and fewer employees than you need, then stop with the client money and pull it over here, So,
and that's the thing, I talk to a lot of people that are saying, oh, I'm pouring, $300, or some are saying $300 a month, and some are saying $3,000 a month on boosting on Indeed and Facebook, and they're doing this for recruiting, right? So now the question is, okay, what's your hire acquisition cost? What's your new hire acquisition cost? We got to lower that acquisition cost as much as we can. The same way we talk about it with clients, like you're saying. Mm-hmm. So if you're spending a really good amount of money per month on new hires, well, eventually it's going to get to a point where you want to start to save. You want to start to trim some of that and get that money back to your bottom line. This is a way to do that. I would rather, and again, this is going to sound conflicting because I own a software company for recruiting, right? I own that. I would rather take my monies and pay them to my staff than to throw them into boosting money for advertising, so all these different softwares. I would rather do that because
Yeah.
it's going to increase my retention for my employees. It definitely will. And I would rather do that.
Yeah. Right. And it's an easy sell to your staff too, in that, I mean, when I say easy sell, they love hearing you say, I would rather give the money to you all than give it to Indeed. I mean, that, even though it's a kind of a no-brainer for us as owners, that's a feel good for employees.
Mhm.
And that's saying that, you know, even though, like I say, it should be a no-brainer that you care about your employees more than you care about supporting Indeed or whoever. I mean, we're not picking on Indeed, but your employees, there's some pride in that, knowing that they work for a company that has that thought process of channeling the money back to them.
Yep. Yep. No, I love the concept. I can't wait to implement it. And and as these results come in, we will obviously share all these results. And
Yeah.
the other thing too that I'll add about this concept is, Martha, you always talk about how when I first met you, you gave me the vibe that, hey, you didn't play around with your policies, you stuck to your policies. It was either this way or no way,
Mhm.
right? And that's hard to do. Like it
Yeah.
really is hard to do sometimes, right? As a
Yeah.
business owner, especially when you're in a pickle and things like that. Well, imagine this. If you're paying someone more money just to keep them, to retain them, do you think that you would keep that person if they were lacking, if you were paying them additional money just for them being in your company? I don't think so. I think you'd get
Mhm.
rid of them. So that's also going to hold you accountable to following your guidelines and policies as well. That may
Right.
not be the best motivator, but it is.
Well,
It'll
it-
definitely hold me accountable.
you know, that feeling of resentment is exactly what made me implement pay for performance in my business.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what you're talking about, is that if you have to write the check
Oh
for
yeah.
that payout, and uh, you're sitting there thinking they're, for lack of a better term, lousy employee, and I'm paying them extra, you know, absolutely, it's your kick in the butt to, yeah, you got to pay them, but
Yep.
then you also, and that pay is not dependent on performance. See, um, it's dependent on this referral
Yep.
bonus. So, uh, you know, like, I'm never in a situation where I'm paying somebody for performance and then turning around the next day and having to let them go for performance. So these are two separate things, and that you can have no guilt in that, you're doing something shady. They did earn that bonus, but at the same token, it's like, okay. And
Yep.
because we all know that at times you'll have people who are rock stars, and then for some reason in their personal life or whatever, things start going downhill.
Yep.
Um,
And I like that concept, Martha, about you have to feel it,
yeah,
right? Like for me, in order for me to feel something, it almost has to be like me writing a check or something,
yeah,
right? If it's just a conversation, it don't really matter. But
yeah,
if I feel it and if I see that money going out or whatever, oh, there's going to be some action behind this after I write this
yeah,
check. you know.
absolutely. Yeah. I
So
mean,
yeah.
that is exactly, I tell that story of having to physically write for a week's vacation. And that was exactly what got me to be like, no, something's wrong here.
Yep.
This is not right. Um, but while you're mentioning it, I want I want you to tell people about how you pay out bonuses, because it's such a simple concept, but it really resonated with me. And do you need me to refresh your memory?
Yeah, refresh which part you talking about.
So how you don't lump it into their paycheck?
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Mhm.
So the way so this is I think a very critical part of our bonus.
Yeah, I do too.
So, a lot of times, as you guys know, when you get bonuses and all those things, if it's just coming on your normal regular check, your staff may not notice it. They
Mhm.
may not notice it because, taxes is eating up 20, 30% or whatever it is, whatever it may be. They don't even realize it. I did a poll one time, Martha, and I asked people, hey, you looked at your pay stub? You looked at your pay? No, I don't look at my pay stub. I'm like, okay, hey guys, I appreciate it. I'm glad that you guys trust me. I'm glad that you trust me, but look at your paycheck. And like there will be times that I sit down with my employees and go over those numbers just because I'm excited about how much money they're making, right? So
Yeah.
either or, what we do when it comes to the bonuses, like our attendance bonus and all these different employee referral bonus will be this way as well. We pay those out on separate direct deposits. Okay. So if our employees get paid weekly on Friday, then we would do this. We would do this deposit maybe on like a Tuesday or a
Mhm.
Wednesday, and it would be completely separate from their normal regular pay. Okay.
Mhm.
So, Martha, a good example of it today, we actually did a direct deposit for our attendance bonus for the month of April. It was completely random, obviously. I did a live video on our group video chat, and
Yeah.
I announced all, I think, 14, 15 people that had perfect attendance in the month of April. And I said, hey, congratulations. Check those bank accounts. There's been some money that dropped today. Check those bank accounts.
I love that.
Yep. And it's
Love
completely random. So the people that had perfect attendance in May, they might get a direct deposit in a week and a half. They don't know.
right.
They don't
And
know.
I hope a lot of people hear this because I feel like and the thing that the beauty of it is that's not extra money that you're giving. It's just that it's you're separating it.
Yep.
And it feels like the gift that keeps on giving. It's like it's like working for somewhere and you're constantly being like, oh wow, yeah, I got this, and your employees should know it's coming. I
Yep.
mean, if they know that they can qualify for an attendance bonus, and they know that they met the requirements, they should know it's coming. Now, sometimes I did random awards that was totally a surprise, and I was watching it and they didn't know it. But if it's something that they're working to achieve it, then they're going to know it's coming. But to separate it out is a really cool idea. Um, and that brings me to one more thing that you said that you took a poll of
Mhm.
how many people looked at their paychecks. One other idea that you can do around money, because we know that money is a huge part of what makes a job important for people. And it's more of well, I mean, it's absolutely a lifestyle thing as far as paying the bills, but there's also a status symbol to that. And I know that a common problem, and I had this in my business when we were doing commission pay, is they didn't have a clue how much money they were making an hour.
Mhm.
So, for instance, I had this one girl that I loved to death, and she came to me and she was like, I'm not making enough money. I'm not making enough money. And I said, uh, I keep wanting to say her name, but anyway, I go, do you know you're making, and I had figured it out. I'm like, do you know you're making 24.13 an hour, and this was 5 years ago or more. And she's like, I am not. And because she was super fast, got great quality scores, and I mean she was amazing. Nobody could do times like she could.
Mhm.
And I said, you are. And I did the math with her, and she walked out of there a whole new person.
Yep.
Her paycheck did not change and wasn't going to change, but now she went from in her head feeling like I'm only making, $12.50 an hour to no, you're actually making. So the point is, it'd be really easy to do. You could do this in your newsletter, guys.
Oh yeah.
You could put number of employees, like you could put pay scales that stay in there month after month after month. And then you or somebody in your office put the number of employees making from, say, $12 to $14 an hour, 14 to 16, etc., averaging.
Yep.
You could put that in your newsletter. And because the thing is, if you're doing your pay fairly, like everybody has the right to move up the ladder and so forth, then it's okay for them to see, okay, I'm just in that 12 to 14 range, but hey, some people are in the 16 to 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And we do that. We don't, because we don't do the newsletter yet. So I think that's a great option to do it in the newsletter. But I tell you what, I do the math for my employees all the time. When I get the opportunity to sit down with them and we start talking about that money conversation, I'll do the math for them. I say, here's what you're making. I always, here's my comment for them. I was like, here's how much you're making versus how much money you're leaving on the table.
Right.
And I'll go through that. I'll say, hey, you're not having perfect attendance. You're missing $300 a month by not even being here. Can you believe it? I said, you're missing $300 a month for not being here. And then you're missing, the $120 that you would have made that day or whatever it is, right? Like you're missing all this money, and that stuff is just adding up over and over and over and over again. And then we do that times a year, and we say, hey, this is how much money you're missing.
Yeah.
$10,000 a year, but you're choosing not to do it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was going to say is, and then after you do it for the month, tell them how much that is for the year. Yep. Even though we know to do that math, our employees aren't always thinking like that. Yep. And and some of us aren't always thinking like that. Yep. I don't always think, where I don't think of it is my expenses. It's like, okay, so you're spending this, it's only $52 a month, and you have 10 of those a month, and but
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, do the math, let you, have those conversations for sure. So this is all good stuff, Martha. Really,
I think so too. I think this was a good one. I hope you guys should have been able to pull out at least one thing that you can implement right away that will really move the needle with your employees. So
yep,
it's good. And keep us posted if you try any of these things.
Yep. Have a great week, guys. Crush it. Happy Tuesday. And we'll see you next week. Next week, we'll be in Nashville.
Yeah, we'll be sitting side by side next week.
We can do one together next week, guys.
Yeah.
So we'll see you again.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks.